The gerund, the present participle of a verb or ing form, functions as a noun. It is called the gerund. Example, jogging is good for health. Here, jogging is gerund. Gerund is used as subject. Let us see this sentence. Painting is my hobby. Painting is gerund and it is acting as subject. Gerund is used as object. I like dancing. In this sentence, dancing is gerund and it is used as object. Gerund is used as object of a preposition. See this example. She is fond of singing. Singing is gerund and preposition of, object of a preposition, fond of singing. Gerund in compound nouns. The dogs are tied to the fencing stick. Here, fencing stick is gerund and it is also a compound noun.
Hello. Here, I'm going to describe how we use ing forms as the subjects in sentences. Using ing forms in this way is known as gerunds. We often use ing forms as the subject of a sentence. This is because it sounds more natural to use the ing form than using the infinitive with to. So we can say, driving too fast is dangerous. Driving is the subject of the sentence. To drive too fast is dangerous just doesn't sound natural. Jogging is good exercise that can be done outdoors. Cycling to school is better fun than taking the bus. Traffic signs and public notices often use the ing form. So you often see no parking, no cycling, no smoking, no trespassing, no swimming, no wading, no fishing, no boating, no ice skating. We often use ing forms when comparing items and situations. So we can say, eating is more enjoyable than washing up. I think that speaking a second language is easier than listening to it. Walking is slower than running. I find reading more relaxing than watching television. My sister prefers to relax by playing with our dog instead of reading. Again, using the ing forms to make a comparison. We put an object after ing forms when talking about everyday activities, such as, my grandmother enjoys baking cakes and pies. That looks delicious. Jane likes helping children learn about insects and nature. Meeting friends is my favourite activity at the weekend. And also we use ing forms before a noun, yet use it like a noun. For example, Eric sat in the waiting room when his wife was having a blood test. After the refurbishment, the staff admired their new and improved working conditions. The nurse gave Janice 2 sleeping tablets to take at bedtime. Here we're using ing plus the noun, yet using it as a noun phrase, if you like. Waiting room, working conditions, and sleeping tablets. So remember, whitewater rafting is an exhilarating experience. In this sentence, whitewater rafting is the subject.
Go and let's start with the gerund definition and formation. Let's have a look at some gerunds first. Shopping is fun. Shopping is a gerund here. I love traveling. Also, traveling is a gerund. To motivate, she's good at motivating people. Motivating is the gerund. And to wash, our dog loves being washed, which is actually being a gerund used in the passive. So definition and formation are actually not so complicated. The gerund is a verbal that ends in ing. Shopping, traveling, motivating, being washed. And it's used in the sentence as a noun. Let's have a look at the sentences again. Shopping is fun. Let's just put in a normal noun like tennis is fun. Okay, that works. I love traveling. I love tennis. Perfect. It's a noun. She's good at motivating people. She's good at tennis. Perfect. Our dog loves being washed. Our dog loves tennis. Okay, good. That doesn't make sense, but grammatically speaking, it's perfectly all right. And please remember, it can take an active as well as a passive form. Shopping is fun. I love traveling. She's good at motivating people. This is active. Our dog loves being washed is passive. So the gerund is a verbal that ends in ing, and building the ing form just isn't complicated. You take your verb and you throw an ing at the end. There's just a couple of things that you want to remember. Let's have a look at those. To lie, lying, and to tie, tying. Please remember, ie at the end of the verb becomes y in the ing form. So we have to stop, stopping, and to sit, sitting. You can actually see the double consonant which you have after the short vowel. So stop has a short o and sit has a short I. And don't forget, writing, coming. The silent E is often dropped in the ing form. There's only very few exceptions where the E actually stays in. All right, let's continue. What functions can the gerund have in a sentence? It can be put into the sentence as a subject or as an object. Watching movies is great. Tennis is great. I am great. Here, the gerund is the subject. I avoid being seen by my students on weekends. I is the subject here, so the being seen, which is actually the gerund in the passive, must be the object. So both subject and object are possible. Let's continue. Now this may seem strange to you, as a couple of funny sentences, but the gerund can have its own subject. Let's start with the construction I don't like, which can of course have a gerund. I don't like playing table tennis is perfectly all right. You can actually say, I don't like you wasting energy, or I don't like your wasting energy. Now grammatically speaking, this is correct, and it's also very good English. The same with the third person. I don't like him wasting energy. I don't like his wasting energy. Now, whether you use the objective pronoun, which is him, or the possessive his, is actually totally up to you. When you need a subject for the gerund, you can actually use both. You just want to remember that the possessive just sounds more formal, so maybe you want to stick with the objective pronoun. Now, all these sentences actually sound quite funny, so we have some more examples here. My mom doesn't like me watching TV all night, or my mom doesn't like my watching TV all night. Both are perfectly all right. I don't mind you coming late. I don't mind your coming late. I don't see an advantage in him being promoted or in his being promoted, him being the pronoun, the objective pronoun, and his being the possessive, or I don't see an advantage in Sarah being promoted, which actually sounds all right, doesn't it? Or in Sarah's being promoted, where the possessive Sarah's being promoted sounds more formal. I'm pleased about us being on time. Sounds okay, doesn't it? Pleased about our being on time is more formal. We're all worried about them not calling, or we're all worried about my friends not calling, which is okay, and we're all worried about their not calling, which is grammatically perfectly all right, but again, more formal. All right, and now of course we have constructions followed by gerund. There aren't too many rules, but there's at least one consistent rule, and this is please use the gerund after prepositions. I'm good at tennis. At is your preposition. I'm good at playing tennis. I'm afraid of the dark. Of being the preposition. I'm afraid of being left alone in the dark, which is a gerund in the passive. Or I'm interested in politics, in being your preposition. I'm interested in writing short stories, for example. So good at, afraid of, interested in, adjective, preposition, and then gerund. And here we go again. Instead of is your preposition here, instead of helping his little brother, Mark was watching television. Instead of actually being a conjunction. By preposition, by leaning out of the window, he was able to grab her hand and pull her back in. And there's always the risk of losing in a contest. Now, of is your preposition, risk is a noun, so here you have noun, preposition, gerund. And this also goes with a choice between being a preposition, flying to London Heathrow, or Stansted, choice, noun, preposition, and then flying, which is the gerund. And it also works with a verb. I wanted to congratulate you on making such a good speech. Congratulate, verb on preposition, and the firm specializes in designing websites, verb, preposition, and gerund. Congratulate on making a speech and specializing in designing websites. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so much for the gerund. Let's move on to the infinitive. Now, actually, to form the infinitive is easy, so we skip this and just move on right away to a couple of rules and when to use the infinitive. You can use the infinitive after question words, for example, in indirect speech. Please notice the can, because sometimes the gerund here is also possible. I asked my math teacher how to solve this algebra problem. I asked, of course, is an indirect speech, and how is the question word. It's not a preposition. I asked my math teacher how to solve this problem. And I didn't know what to do. Again, we have the question word here, followed by the infinitive. I didn't know what doing just doesn't sound right, okay, so it's wrong. And a second little rule we can actually give you here is use the infinitive after want and would like. Do you want me to shut the window? Do you want me to shut the window? Do you want me shutting the window is not correct. And you have to say, I would like to study Italian. Can of course say, I like studying Italian, but with the would in, I would like, it's would like to study. So much for a couple of rules on the infinitive. And now please allow me a final word on this topic. It's actually impossible to press this problematic of infinitive and gerund into a set of fixed rules. There's just too many possibilities. For example, the words like, hate, and prefer, they can actually have both. And also to stop. I hate going shopping, which is perfectly all right. It's just the gerund after I hate, and of course you can say I hate to tell you this. So you can also have the infinitive, both having a little bit of a different meaning here. You can say I stopped smoking, or you can say I stopped to smoke, for the first one being like the habit, I stopped smoking, and the second one is just the next thing that I didn't do. I stopped to smoke, okay? And so you can actually say it's quite difficult to give you a rule here when to use which. It's just something that you have to feel. On the internet, when you Google this, they actually give you lots of lists with adjectives and verbs and nouns followed by gerund, but there's just too many of them. So forget about all the word lists. This won't help you. So the question, of course, is what can you do? Well, the only thing is you can actually develop a feeling for when to use which form, and in order to do this, please read English books, watch English movies, listen to English songs, of course, do our exercises on this topic, and always when you do this, have your inner Englishman turned on, because he will then maybe remember what needs to be.